Hello, Miss Yangtze. Um, After us trying to like play phone tag, all of that kind of shit, I thought that this would probably be the easiest way for me to tell you what's going on, why we've been playing phone tag, and update you and see if you can help me on a little piece of it. So, I should probably explain. When I messaged you, I had got like a download, a realization, a vision, whatever you want to call it, of what I needed to do going forward on a project, which includes your salary and the next pieces to the puzzle, I guess. What I should explain, and you'll get to know a little bit more of, is if you think of life or any time aha moments come in, it's almost like a spiral. It's a spiral staircase, but it's kind of like a Jumanji game where, yes, I get to know something and that is like here, and then I get to see all of the dominoes I have to hit before I can do that. So when I sent you the message, it was me forgetting, really getting excited and thinking I was like at the end of the game, and I was not, because I had to knock down other dominoes to get to here. So when that happens, it kind of like shuts me down from the universe and everyone else for a minute, because if I'm connected to other people's energy, it taps into their fear or their past pains or their whatever, and it kind of puts blocks on me to not be able to go as fast as I need to go. So sometimes when I'm saying the universe kind of checks me out or I have to check out for a while, that's why going forward, once I finish this piece, it's not going to be like that anymore. Because if you've ever seen Hunger Games, that might be a better way to explain it. It's kind of like I got thrown into this game, not necessarily knowing, like I always knew I was meant to be a big piece to a puzzle and had a bigger purpose. But when I told you like they shut me down with real estate and I had to kind of start building like, you know, the charity piece and the inventions piece and stuff, I didn't necessarily know the bigger picture or the hows. I was just kind of trusting and doing what I was shown to do. So now when you're through Hunger Games kind of thing, if you think about, she wins the battle and she didn't even realize that that made her the Mockingjay of like being the leader of people following her in kind of like a rebellion, but standing up for what's right and all of that kind of thing. That's kind of where it was. So I had to literally play the game of Jumanji, not knowing that at the end was going to make me like the leader, to like put all the pieces that I had built together and help be a leader for change and people and all of that. At the beginning, I just thought I was doing what I was shown to do. So when you get there, then with the Jumanji game, it means I have to heal any fear attached to being a leader, stay balanced, so that self-love, self-care, like I can't just plow through something anymore. I have to make sure I'm staying balanced as I do it. So I have to still stay in healing what I need to heal, growing and learning in the pieces where I need to grow and learn, while also taking action steps to make the goal get hit without having too much of other people's energy at that time to affect what I needed to heal. Because if someone comes in, I'm so empathic that I take on their pain and stuff, and it kind of like fogs what I need to work on and know and heal and dive into. Yeah. So long story short, that is an explanation of I was never trying to avoid you, ignore you, or anything like that. So I apologize if you ever felt that. It was literally, I can't just jump into something. I have to know it's the right time. I have to know it's the right alignment, even in the sky, to know the days and things of being able to do stuff. And I've had to learn all of that, because before I would just go 100 miles an hour and plow and build stuff and whatever, but it was at the sacrifice of my own sanity or my own self-care or whatever that was. And that is like the biggest no-no in codependency, is if I'm sacrificing my needs at the sake of what I'm building too. So God had to make sure, like, me being a Mockingjay that I didn't know I was gonna be, but knew I was meant to do something, that I wasn't sacrificing myself over doing what I knew I was supposed to do, even if it's for the greater good. I couldn't ever have it be at the sacrifice of myself. So currently, this week, once I knocked down all the other dominoes and have been healing all the stuff that I needed to heal and all of that stuff, it like came back full circle of like, I have to close out taxes from my ex-husband. It were the last pieces. And I had hired attorneys and stuff to do that, but I had to do little pieces. And it was stuff I put on the back burner, but was also holding me to my past and not letting me fully heal from that. So I'm trying to plow through getting through that stuff, because you have to fully close out a chapter. Your new life always costs you your old life, I guess is the best way to put it. So I'm trying to close out all past chapters this week and get all of that stuff done while I am building and taking the action steps to the new life and the next piece. And that's where you come in. So I always knew, even when it was in real estate and I met you, I always knew that you were a piece of the puzzle. I always knew. I even told Joy the first time we had our meeting in like KW office that I end up working with her on a different scale someday. And I know she's a piece of the puzzle. Like, I know that I am meant to work with her. And I feel like you kind of knew that too. So I just didn't know how, what, where, or when. Now I have a way better idea. So let me explain to you exactly what I've created to what I know now. Oh, and then bring you full circle. So over this last, well, really over the last 2 years, and even when I started real estate, it was always meant to help women heal and show them what badass women can do when they believe in themselves and have the right people to help them and all of that. So when I started my real estate team, actually I have a lotus flower right here, and I got it because it was meant to stand for, you can grow up in the muddy waters like a lotus flower and a muddy swamp and still be a beautiful flower. It doesn't matter where you come from. So I always knew that, and I always knew that was my passion and my purpose. I just didn't realize to what extent. So a couple years ago, I knew that I started helping like charities in the area, and helping, like there's Ugly's Closet in Pleasant Grove, and she helps single parents and all of that. She has like a thrift store, and I would collect clothes for her and all of that kind of stuff. And then I had Tommy Foundation, which was someone who did micro loans for single parents and stuff to get them off paycheck to paycheck and get them help and all of that kind of thing. Well, then I built Whole Hearts, and Whole Hearts I knew was meant to connect, almost like an umbrella. The charity was meant to connect other charities and other resources, solutions, everything together, because I had noticed that all these charities and everything, they all tried to reach outside of their own zone to help other people, but they never really connected to the next piece of like on the conveyor belt. So if you're like figuring on the conveyor belt of healing, and when you're getting out of, say, an abusive relationship or any of those things, there's always, you get sent to one resource and then it's like they like kick them off and they're expected to figure it out on them by themselves. And so I wanted to connect it almost like a conveyor belt, almost like resource for every piece of the puzzle that they needed to be able to heal and never feel alone. And so Whole Hearts was always meant to be that. And then they had me build Whole Hearts Rising community. Whole Hearts Rising, which was meant when we were helping them heal and all of that kind of stuff. Then it was a piece to help create their dreams and birth inventions and creations and businesses and all of that kind of stuff. So then God had me, because I'm a systems and a talent, I seek talent out and have talent just like you that finds me almost like a web. And so it's like I have a web of talent, resources, and everything. So he had me create. So the Whole Hearts Rising is having all the pieces of the puzzle of like CPA, marketing, all of that kind of stuff, so that every person, even if they don't know how to set up a business, if they don't know how to run a business, but they have this magical gift or this dream, I'm able to help them heal and through the coaching and whatever, not me personally going forward, because it's just going to be the systems and people that we put in place. But because if they're not healed, we self-sabotage anything that is beautiful and amazing. Just why I had to do a Jumanji game and all of that to make sure that, in the end, I don't self-sabotage. So they're able to almost have like a franchise fee that they pay, but everything they don't know how to do, they get to stay in their happy place, and the team will help them create that business and birth it. They just have to focus on their dreams, their goals, and all of that kind of stuff, and the part that lights them up. Everything else can help be managed within Whole Hearts. So that's where the joint venture piece comes in. So when I messaged you, it was kind of crazy because they showed me the next piece. So if you figure those two pieces down here, up here, so that it still creates like a triangle, because I've always seen the triangle kind of like, I always thought as you, me, and community, but me, God, and community, or it's the Holy Trinity, the Holy Trinity. So the top piece, I always used to go and seek justice, and it was kind of like a side thing, hobby, I guess, whatever, to help protect people. I think I told you I was working on class action lawsuits and stuff like that. Well, this is the piece that I need to go into more depth, where usually I don't because of privacy, but you're an attorney and the exact reason why you were sent into my world. Because, okay, so 2 years ago, KW, there was some shadiness happening within KW. I had women find me and seek me out, but this one actually happened to be a best friend that I've known for forever, who was in KW up in Salt Lake. And she called me and was telling me about some corruption and some stuff between two brothers that own some of the brokerages around here within KW. And long story short, they were the brother was enabling the other brother to pretty much be a narcissist and abuse women and take down a place that I loved and create a name and a reputation that goes against everything I believed in within KW and what I believe the owner started the business to begin with around. So 2 years ago, I started doing research, reached out, and started collecting some of these stories with one of my mentors, kind of like Mama is what I call her within KW, who knows the owner personally. So I had her doing it with me so that I knew I was moving at the time, so I could pretty much pass the package off to her and have her take it through the chain and get stuff taken care of. What I didn't realize then was pretty much God was having me do that, not knowing it would come full circle back to me, but to find all of the missing pieces, the holes, how they would deal with it, all of that kind of thing, to pretty much give me more evidence when it came back to me. So we took testimonies, we got statements, we got stories, we got all of it, and it was starting to get so big just within Utah and KW that when it started going outside of Utah, I was like, nope, I have to stop, because I know, like I said, they create a web, whether it's a web of evidence or web of amazing people. That is how my life works. So when I started doing that, the web of women being hurt and the holes in the system through KW and not having resources or avenues for them to go to became very apparent. So once I had Mama, she sent it to the owner and got all of that submitted and everything. Like I said, it created a web of holes and a web of shadiness and narcissists within KW. And this will probably help you understand why I haven't answered your question on KW yet, because I had to have this full circle moment, because I didn't want you in somewhere if I was leaving, because when it was class action, I thought I was just doing a class action against KW. For when I sent you the message few weeks ago, it was God showing me, nope, but you had to think you were doing a class action, because I never would have been okay with what I saw at the beginning, what I see now that I'm supposed to do at the beginning, because it would have been against, it would have felt greedy, ego, like all of that kind of stuff, and that's against whatever I believe in. But I get it now, because now I see how this benefits everything so much more, and I had to learn the lessons to be able to get there. Yeah. So last year, August-ish, I took that back over and I sent a video to the owner, pretty much calling out all of the stuff and saying how disappointed I was. And I gave him option A and option B, because what God always has me do is give somebody option A and option B, because they always have an option to stand up, take accountability, and I will help them fix any problem that they have. If they choose option B, they are choosing to, one, they underestimate me, which that is never safe for anybody to do. But that's okay. They choose that they'll be able to beat me. They'll be able to silence me. They will be able to win with the same tools and narcissistic behavior they did in the past. Difference is I've got like God's army behind me. And so it's like when I get directed to go and call something out, God starts like deconstructing their life behind me. So I know from August till when I got the download of now what I'm supposed to do, there's been some deconstruction, so that when I come in now with the offer that I'm going to be giving them, they accept. So from August, I went through, they sent one of their high advisors to talk to me and all of that. And I started interviewing him of like, if your ethics and values don't stick with you and you don't like live in your truth and you lie to me or anything like that, I am holding you accountable. So I suggest, if you're going to lie and try and silence me in any way because of people within KW wanting you to do that, I suggest you own your ethics and values, because I will add you to the list of who I'm coming for. So as the owner of KW is having people reach out to me for those months in between, each one that I would interview and like try and find solutions and whatever, they would all chicken out after a little bit because they could see that they wanted people to silence me and everything else. And they had already heard that I will come after them and add them to my list if they start shrinking in their ethics and values to follow narcissistic behavior. So one after another, after another. And that video that I sent was a private link. And I sent it to the owner. That private link got sent within the hierarchy of KW, with me being a whistleblower for the problems that I know is an international problem. I got to see that their hierarchy sent that private link, which means the owner gave it to somebody within his like personal tribe, personal like assistants, the higher ups, the VPs, that kind of thing. And they sent that link to get to one of the abusers. So remember that attorney you referred me to? That attorney you referred me to, she was out of town working with her parents, and me and her were communicating. Then when the abuser, one of the abusers, got the private link, he went to that same law office and had them send me a cease and desist as a whistleblower, the abuser. So then I get to go back to KW, to the next person who wants to like shrink and disappear because the other one had, of like, so let me get this straight. Did KW seriously send the video, the private video, with me being a whistleblower, giving evidence on it to the abuser, and now you guys are saying you have no control over that person as he sent me a cease and desist? Do you understand what that does in a law system if I went to a judge and took this to court? Do you understand you just tried to silence? The company is supporting the abuser who is trying to silence the whistleblower. That shook it up just a little bit. Then they gave me the attorney to talk to. The attorney that had no idea any of this was going on. And when I did the same conversation with him of like your ethics and values and what do you stand for and blah, 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 blah. And so when your word is your bond and you come back to me and blah, blah, blah. And that was in like September, October. I know he is avoiding at all costs because he had no idea this was going on. He was frustrated, upset. He told me he couldn't believe